Welcome to Committee on Ordinance. Today is March 13th, and it is 4:31 p.m. Thank you all for being here. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Espinal,
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Peterson is absent. Councilwoman Harris. Present. Councilman Vargas. Present. Councilor Royas.
Present.
You have 4 present and 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, first item on the agenda.
Item number 1 is a petition from Joseph Colaluca by John T. Longo Esquire, 996 Smith Street, Suite 101, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 99, lots 259, 260, 261, and 262, 57, 61, 65, and 69 Anchor Street from R3 residential to R4 residential.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The attorney for the petitioner has asked that we continue this item to April 24th. Make a motion to continue to April 24th.
So moved. Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Royas, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This item is continued to April 24th. Item number 2, Madam Clerk, please.
Item number 2 is a petition from John J. Garrahy Esquire, John J. Garrahy Law LLC, 2088 Broad Street, Cranston, Rhode Island, 02905, on behalf of Vitality Land Holdings LLC and GFM Realty LLC, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 112, lots 432, 433, and 434, 95 Dedham, 101 Dedham, and 105 Dedham Avenue from R1 to R2.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll ask to enter Exhibit 2A into the record. I have a motion to enter Exhibit 2A.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Royas, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Exhibit 2A is now part of the record. Councilor Garrahy, would you like to come up, please?
I think I have it, yes. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, John Garrahy on behalf of the applicant. So we made the case at the last meeting that we were at. The only thing I would add, certainly if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, any questions. What I would add is the legislation on accessory dwelling units that have been passed by the House is in the General Assembly at the moment. It's passed by the House and on its way to the Senate, likely, as I understand it, to pass the General Assembly this year. So this would allow accessory family dwelling units within a structure in any district as a permitted use. So fundamentally, what the General Assembly has said is that we think accessory dwelling units should be allowed. So every house in a single-family district will be allowed to have accessory family dwelling units and not limited to people that are over 65 or other conditions. They do restrict it to no short-term rental dwellings, however. So I would suggest to the committee, as a matter of, first of all, that this is an appropriate use for a two-family dwelling in this area. It abuts a commercial zone, as we indicated to you. It is a dead-end street. It would not be overburdened by the two-family dwelling. And accessory family dwelling units would be, I would suggest, it has not passed the General Assembly. I don't want to be presumptuous, but it looks like it's heading that way, would be allowed anyway. So the trend certainly is going to allow those types of dwelling units in this district and in every district. And I therefore would believe it's appropriate to have it here as well. Thank you, Mr.
But this is not specifically because of accessory dwelling. It is, you're looking to go from R1 to R2, which would allow just a regular, typical two-family house.
That's right,
Right,
Mr. Chairman.
And
That's right.
how many houses?
3.
3. So you're looking to basically build 6 houses?
6 units,
Exactly.
yes. Mr. Chairman, and you had asked me before, the original petition had requested a larger land area, which it
Exactly.
included 15 to 18 lots. So the R2 would have been double that, right? So we withdrew that because of constraints on that lot. So we're not seeking that 15 lots. We're seeking 3 lots, six units.
So, Attorney Gary, so it's also my understanding that 2 blocks from that, you have R2 area,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
and also there's a commercial area as well within that
Commercial
area.
directly abuts it, although you cannot access this property from the commercial strip, but it's directly abutting it. It dead ends into the commercial shopping center.
Thank you. Any question from committee members?
Yes, sir. Can I?
Yes, Councilor Vargas, please.
Thank you. Mr. Garrett, have you get in touch with the council person from the area?
I'm sorry?
You got in touch with the council?
I have not been in touch with the council person.
Thank you. Anna.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Gary.
very much.
City Sergeant, could you please bring up any sheets of anybody that may have signed up to speak on this item? Thank you. Okay, so we have Andy Skipworth. Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, okay, I can hear myself talk, but back there, we couldn't hear anything. So we don't know what he said, we couldn't understand what you said.
No?
We couldn't hear anything from where I was sitting.
Well, it was just more or less a brief presentation of what he previously stated in the last section. Only what they were looking to do, which is go from a residential 1-family to a residential 2-family. They are proposing 3 properties, which would be a total of 6 apartments, units. So that's basically what he said. He also mentioned that there is already R2 zoning 2 blocks from that, and there's also commercial zoning not far from there on the north side of that. That's all that was stated.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, as I mentioned in February, all the residents on Dedham Avenue is still against the 2 multifamily or 3 multifamily homes. We are already congested as it is, and so additional 6 units, as they call them, is only going to make it even more congested. 5 streets over to the left, all 5 streets are all single-family homes. The main street going from Killingly Street, which is the one on the right side of us that I believe he's referring to, goes straight down to Hartford Avenue. All the other single-family street homes don't have access to Hartford Avenue. Dedham Avenue doesn't have access to Hartford Avenue. Before the woods got torn down, we didn't see the commercial property that's on Hartford Avenue. I submitted on March 1st an email for my testimony today, actually giving the time frame as to us to get to that commercial building. If we go down the street, Petty's Avenue, that he stated was between R1 and R2, it would take us at least 3 minutes to get to that commercial building. If we go in the opposite direction, it takes us at least 6 minutes, and we would have to go onto 2 main roads in order to get to that commercial building. So for us, the commercial property at the opposite side on Hartford Avenue has nothing to do with Dedham Avenue. In order for us to get down that way, we have to go out to a main road, which is already busy. They just recently added, maybe 2 months ago, stop signs, I guess, to accommodate the extra traffic, but we still can't get out of our street. So in the hour that I took at home preparing to come here, my camera went off 25 times in less than 30 minutes of the cars going down Dedham Avenue, which is a dead-end street. So add additional 6 more units, it's going to be even 6 times more than that just coming down. That's how much traffic goes up and down that street already. And we are already packed to the max. We don't have any more room. We got people from main roads parking on our street. And plus, besides the 21 homes, we also have 4 extra parking lots that's also on our street. So we still don't believe that putting multifamily homes on that dead-end street is going to be a big negative impact for us. Not only for our kids not being able to play on the street or have to move every 5 seconds because of cars coming down the street, but also for all the traffic, all the trash. And I'm not saying that everyone's dirty, but most people who actually take care of their homes or own their homes are more apt to clean behind themselves as people who are renting. And as I put in my statement, we don't know what the impact is going to be as far as property on our homes now. If we wanted to move into a zone with multifamily, I'm quite sure even the gentleman that just bought his house a couple of months ago would have bought a house in that kind of area, but he chose a single-family home on a single-family street. And I wish that you would reconsider and say no to the zoning on Dedham Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, any questions? Oops, sorry. Any questions?
Yes. Let's see if, so you're opposing the 2-family, not necessarily the single-family.
Right.
I mean, you do understand that they have a right to their land, and they have a right to build there,
Yes,
because they bought
yes.
those
We're just-
property, right? You just don't want the multifamily because it brings in tenants, right?
Yes.
Any questions from committee members?
I did reach out to my councilwoman again 2 more times and never heard back. And I
Right.
haven't spoken to anyone. No one's reached out to any of us to speak to us to try to resolve the problem or anything like that,
Right.
or to even have a discussion on it.
Right. Any questions?
Do we know how many bedrooms per unit this development would have?
Attorney Gary, do you know how many bedrooms?
Sorry, Attorney, the only reason why I ask is I'm just thinking about what this resident raises, the congestion, and I think it would give us a better understanding of essentially how many people would occupy these units. And so I'd like to know how many bedrooms per unit. That would be valuable information for me, but I don't want to speak for the whole committee here. If there's like a rough estimate or a ballpark range you might have?
I don't.
Okay.
And I just don't want to tell you. I'd be happy if you want to continue to get that information for you.
Sure.
I just don't want to say something that's not true
Right.
because I have no idea and I don't think they've designed it. Again, if it's a 2-family, because if this passes, it's a 2-family. If this doesn't, it's a 1-family.
I can say though, in one of the houses that one of my neighbors, they are a 2-bedroom, single-family home, but there's 3 cars So that alone, just with a two-bedroom, and there's 3 cars for that one particular
Well,
family.
let me just say, that's something that it's extremely hard to control as family grow, society grows, and what they decide to purchase or to buy, especially if they have kids and they want to buy an additional car, that's something that we can't really regulate when it comes to that. So, but stuff that we take into consideration.
Yeah, that was just like an example, as him asking for how many bedrooms, because then that way you know how many people are going to actually be driving.
Thank you so much. Natalie? Oh, I'm so sorry. Councilor Harris, you had a question?
Just a statement, Mr.
Please, thank you.
Chair. I'm concerned that the councilperson have not been contacted, especially if there's other neighbors who have some concerns. And usually what happens is this stuff comes at the councilperson all at once. I would very much like to see a push that she has some kind of connection to this issue around zoning. This is something that's coming up in our comprehensive plan, and this is something all of us council people are going to have to face, because in the comprehensive plan, we are trying to figure out how to density in order to provide more houses for people here in our state, right? And so a lot of this, the changes that's being made, is going to happen in a lot of our wards. So I think from the very beginning, we have to start figuring out how to talk to our neighbors one way or the other about what's happening with this land use and the zoning, because it's very important. I think we should start that already with all of our residents in Providence, because throughout Providence, there is going to be a change of zoning density with the comprehensive plan that's coming away, and it's needed because we need houses. So we need to figure out how to work with our neighbors in order that we may have more housing, in order that they feel good about their neighborhoods as well. So I think it starts with us as council people. I'm very concerned that the councilwoman have not been contacted, as Councilman Vargas so boldly and Councilman Roy so boldly pushed the last time for it to happen. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for listening.
Thank you, Councilor Harris. Natalie, please.
Good evening, Natalie Weisfeld. I live at 60 Dedham Ave. Councilwoman Vargas was contacted 3 times by Ms. Handy. And so with this issue, we're not opposed to investors making money. This investor purchased this lot zoned as R1, and we're all for him developing that lot as R1. I'm an investor as well. So are all the residents on my street. Most likely, we're we live in our homes, and those are our investments. So if this zoning does change, and my investment depreciates $50,000 along with the other 21 homes on my street, is Mr. Gary's client going to make us whole at the end of the day? We're investors. This is not a through street. For Mr. Gary to stand up here and say that, oh, 2 streets over is R2, R3, it's not a comparable comparison. I'm a property owner, I'm an investor, and I'm protecting my investment by asking you to strongly oppose this zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes,
Councilman Vargas?
thank you, Chair. So you as an investor, right? How big you want to be the one-family house?
I didn't hear.
How big you want the one-family house to be built?
Single-family home on that lot. I mean, I have the largest lot on the street. I have an 8,000 square foot lot. I have a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. You know, he's trying to build 2 homes. I think 2 3-bedroom, 1.5 baths. Go for it. That's fine. The lot across the street, I purchased my home. It was undeveloped, and there's now a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home across the street. Excellent tenants. They are super kind. They have animals. They have children. It's a lovely addition to the neighborhood. A multifamily dwelling where tenants are changing every year, that's not what we want in our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We don't have anybody else assigned. All right, so thank you so much. We were going to make a decision on this today, as I said last time that you were here. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, good, okay. There are many changes that are currently happening in regards to zoning. Some of those changes are going to be inevitable. Some of those changes are going to come from the state, not necessarily the city of Providence. We're just going to be there to implement those changes. So, you got to start thinking that certain things are going to change. But for the time being, in following the suggestion of Mr. Gary and the fact that Councilor Vargas is here, I want to make sure that we all have a conversation about this because it is very important and we take it very serious. I think the investors deserve respect, and I also think that the residents deserve a lot of respect because you live there. So we try to balance things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue this item to the 24th, and prior to that, I myself will engage with Councilwoman Vargas so that we can sit down and have a conversation. I think it's fair to everyone. So, Attorney Gary? April 24th. Councilor Royas, please.
Yes, and I just would like to encourage Councilor Vargas, if you have a moment to, and the residents to maybe exchange contact info before you all leave so that we can all be on the same page moving forward.
Right, but, we will reach out. Madam Clerk, third item on the agenda.
Item number 3 is a petition from John J. Gary Esquire, John J. Gary Law LLC, 2088 Broad Street, Cranston, Rhode Island, 02905, on behalf of the Albanese Irrevocable Trust of 2019, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 110, Lot 269, 15 Farmington Avenue, from R3 to C3.
Thank you. Attorney Gary, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, John Garrahy on behalf of the petitioner as well. Again, I won't repeat what we had said before. Just to refresh your recollection with respect to this property, it's a non-conforming use, which is 2 commercial buildings on the lot, now in an R3 zone. The buildings are non-conforming, therefore they cannot change. So what occurred here was back, and I don't know exactly when, but I will say in the 70s, there was this change from the C4, which allowed the commercial buildings, to the R3 zone, which does not allow them. So they can continue to operate as long as it's the same use. Once the use change, it's non-conforming, they can't change. So their hands are tied, and that's what's happened here. The existing use, which is a car detailer, has been disruptive to the neighborhood. And the owners are trying to evict him, but if they evict him, they can't put anything else in there. So it's an R3, they can rebuild it into an R3, but the building is already there. So the hands are tied as a result of the zone change back in the 70s, I believe, to R3. So they're trying to get a better use in there, both with respect to the detailer and the auto shop in the back, which would be more advantageous to the neighborhood. The CPC had recommended approval, provided we have a parking plan and other plans to be more conducive to the neighborhood. That's what we'd like to do. We don't want to, the gentleman has made a significant investment in these buildings, which were legal at the time that they were built. Zone changed. My client says without his knowledge. I don't know that as a matter of fact.
What year was that?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know.
All right.
But based on correspondence, it had to be before the 80s.
Right.
We're trying to preserve the ability for this owner to continue to make a living with respect to the buildings that are there. They're non-conforming uses. Once the use changed from what they were in the 70s, I'd say. So it's a difficult situation. We're trying to remedy a situation that occurred over time and trying to make it better. Understanding the neighbors are concerned and upset because of the detailer and the way that he has maintained his property. Our client has evicted, he's still there, but they've started eviction proceedings and they hope to get him out by the end of this month. So they want to make a change, they want to make the neighborhood better, but once he goes, the only thing that can go back in there is a detailer because the use can't change. And the order, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, Mr. Chairman, but that's the situation.
So basically, John, you're saying that the use is not going to change if even though if you evict this tenant, the only possible tenants will be the same type of business. So I have to assume that perhaps the same type of behavior will be exhibited unless there was a plan in place.
I'm afraid so, Mr. Chairman, because he's got to have economic return from the building, so to be able to have some advantage, get somebody better in there to be able to have a use, a commercial use, still a commercial use, don't get me wrong, but he can have a different commercial use than is presently in there, under the C3.
Did it draft the plan? Does he have a plan CPC requested? Did it put a plan together?
They're going to contact the police department to have no parking signs and those types of things. We don't have a specific written plan with respect to that.
Okay, any questions? Committee members?
Yes, I do.
Councilman Vargas?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Gary, so you're saying that it's R3 that's commercial? R3 is residential.
Correct.
You want to change it to commercial? To C3, right?
C3, correct.
So now it's R3, is residential, 3-family.
It's R3 presently. That is the issue, because he cannot allow for a commercial use other than what's in there to continue.
So he can knock down this garage and make a 3-family house.
He could.
And you just mentioned something, by putting no parking signs, you affecting the community. So what about the neighbors? They're not going to be able to park the car in front of the house because this business is asking for no parking signs?
Well,
I think that's against the community, though.
well, Mr. Councilman, you know, I mean, the neighbors are here. They are concerned because the detailer had parked all the cars, you know, throughout the neighborhood. We want to find a solution to that so that they don't do that. And
So how are the police officers going to know that this resident who lives in particular address with no parking signs because of the business, he's not going to get a ticket?
Well, I understand the issue, and the neighbors don't want no parking sign. I have the same issue on my street because of no parking on Mount Pleasant High School. So maybe they could limit it to between 10 and 2 no parking or something of that nature, so that the commercial cars would not be on the street. We don't want to do anything that adversely affects. I'm just telling you what the CPC had recommended, a parking plan, in order to avoid the existing conditions with respect to this detailer. Our client wants to evict this detailer because of the way he was. And I'd suggest to you that if he's allowed to get a different user in there under the C3, wouldn't have the issue because it wouldn't be a detailer and he wouldn't have cars parked all over the place.
Another question?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Do you know when he built this new house next to the garage?
I know the owner built a new house next to the garage. I know
So
that.
this particular new house is the same owner of the garage. So it's 15 and 19, those the same property owner?
Same property owner.
Do you know where the house is? It used to be a parking lot before?
I assume so. He evidently purchased that property and built his house there.
And if he want to keep the business, why didn't left the parking lot for the business to be, that becomes something very smart. He's very smart because he's collecting rent now in the house.
Councilman, that's the tenant, not the owner of the property.
Thank you.
When you said the tenant, not the owner of the property, I think what Councilor Vargas said or asked was, is the owner of the three-family the same as the owner of the garage?
Let me be perfectly clear about that. The owner of the three-family is the tenant, is the detailer. Right? Is the tenant of 15. The owner of, is it 17, is the tenant, not the owner. My client is not the person who owns the three-family.
But your client built the house.
No, the detailer built the house. The tenant built the house next door.
So your client sold the lot.
They did not own the lot next door.
So that lot never belonged to the garage? The lot never belonged to the garage owner? It doesn't come with the garage?
No, it was not. There are two buildings on 15. 17 was a separate lot, not owned by my client.
Right.
And the detailer, the tenant of the next door, bought the lot and built a three-family house on it.
Which is perhaps what your client should have done to purchase the lot to be able to provide parking for the business. Well, it could have been a missed opportunity.
Exactly.
Right. Any further question?
Just have a,
Councilor Arroyas?
thank you, Chair. I just have a comment, and I would feel more comfortable moving forward, Mr. Gary, if we had that parking plan on a document of some sort that we could review. So I just wanted to express that to
Thank you.
you and my colleagues here.
So let me suggest this. I mean, we are happy to do this, and we are happy to discuss it with the neighbors who are here and are going to express to you their feelings about it. I'm sure, like the councilman indicated, they want to park on the street. The residents want to park on the street. They don't want to limit themselves. So we'd be happy to have a discussion with the neighbors about a plan that works for them, but does not allow the business. I don't know how you do that from a police perspective, but to try to arrive at some solution.
Why didn't this happen? This is the reason why we continue it, so that there was a conversation between the neighbors and the owners. But instead, there's other activities going on. Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Thank you.
City Sergeant, could you please bring me the sheets, please? Pedro Borda.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
I have a letter I wrote to address you. Dear council members, thank you for allowing me to speak today. My family and I have worked hard to be model citizens, paying taxes, following the rules, and doing our part to better our community. It is in that spirit that I come before you with the concerns about the proposed zoning change for the property located at 15 Farmington Ave, from residential to heavy commercial. It's not just any commercial, it's heavy commercial. While supporting local businesses is important, protecting our neighborhood is equally vital. The zoning change application for 15 Farmington from residential to heavy commercial raises understandable concerns among residents. For years, neighbors have endured excessive noise, trash, lack of parking, and increased traffic from the businesses operating on this property. Despite seeking help from local authorities and local representatives, these issues persist. Today, we understand the real solution can only come from you. One of the main purposes of zoning is maintaining consistency within districts. This is a perfect example of what happens when consistency in districts is not refined. This business has operated within a residential zone for years and has been problematic the entire time, precisely because it does not belong in this neighborhood. Now, there seems to be some lack of clarity as to how these businesses have been able to operate in this neighborhood. The businesses operating on this property have operated under a non-conforming use, which is generally defined as a land use that was legal when established but does not conform to the standards of the current zoning ordinance. When zoning grants an exception allowing a property to be used in that way, in a way that it does not conform to the rules, the ordinance usually lays out requirements that must be satisfied to keep that specific status. By meeting these conditions, the owner maintains the legal right to continue the non-conforming use. Careful periodic review ensures ongoing compliance and protects our community. For years, the businesses operating in 15 Farmington have provided services without any regulations, enabling the expansion of the business that has struggled to coexist amicably with our community. Our goal is not to punish a property owner, but to preserve the residential character and quality of life of our neighborhood. As a representative of this community, you have the power to thoughtfully manage change through reasonable zoning policy. Denying C3 heavy commercial zoning would be a compassionate decision that considers the greater good. It would pave the way for a more harmonious development aligned with the residential needs of the area. Your leadership on this issue can help guide the neighborhood to a brighter future, one that balances businesses' interests with residential needs. By denying the zoning change, you send a message that our community matters. You open the door to a development that aligns with rather than defies the fabric of this neighborhood. In closing, I understand this is a complex issue with many perspectives to weigh. Please know that I'm happy to provide any information to help inform your decision making. Thank you.
Thank you. How long have you lived there?
3 years.
3 years? Has there ever been a time that there is no issue with this business?
No,
No.
and it's horrible. I mean, every morning, just having to tell people who do not belong in my property to move. When you say that to a stranger to please move, even if you say it nice, they get annoyed. And it's a constant argument with strangers. Traffic is terrible. If you look up the statistics of the accidents in that corner, it's astronomical. There's trash all the time. There's men working on the streets and on our properties. And the thing is, if we knew that another business was gonna come and operate responsibly, but that's not the case. That's impossible to foresee. We tried in the past to have communications with the owners of the property, but as long as they don't have problems with you, they don't want to know anything about us. So, and if that business was being regulated, they're operating under a non-conforming use. Usually, one of the provisions they have is they cannot expand their businesses. That's one of the rules they have to follow.
Right.
These businesses have expanded throughout the years, and they don't even fit within their building. They do their job on the public streets. Also, let's say there was a new building, just for the sake of it, there was a new building that was going to start operating as a business in that same location. The current building as it is does not conform with the zoning setbacks. One is a side setback of 10 feet from the next residential.
Right.
If that happened, even that would be maybe a little better. People would not go into our driveway. But there's so many issues. And I think it's because they have not been regulated, and a business does not belong in this property. They are surrounded by homeowners, by family homes, and I mean, we encourage residential development that helps the community.
Thank you. Any questions from my committee members? Thank you. Thank you so much. Teresa Campos.
Evening. I have examples of photos. Can I share them with you?
Yes, please.
I don't have an. Red is C3, and so you could see in front of our home, left and basically everywhere in our little peninsula of our home, of our streets, is all R3, and so having a C3 would not be beneficial. And then there's several examples of how the tenants and business or building owner mistreat our streets and our home and everyone's home nearby. They use I wrote something, so I'll just go through that.
You did a good job here.
I'm here today to respectfully express my opposition to the proposed zoning change at 15 Farmington Avenue. While I understand the reasons this change has been requested, I have concerns about how it would negatively impact our neighborhood. I understand the importance of supporting local businesses, but we must also consider the well-being of nearby residents. The current operations at 15 Farmington Avenue have unfortunately caused disruptions that are incompatible with the surrounding residential neighborhood. Issues such as operating hours, noise levels, parking congestion, and the high volume of non-resident traffic have negatively impacted residents' quality of life. The property at 15 Farmington Ave is located in a residential zone, yet hosts 2 commercial tenants whose operations disrupt the neighborhood. The auto repair shop, Donald Auto Repair, and the detailing business, International Auto Detail, conduct activities that exceed what is allowable under the area's zoning code and original grandfathered provisions. Specifically, the current building layout presents some challenges. The building is not capable of hosting automotive companies at this capacity. These automotive companies utilize public roadways and sidewalks to run their businesses, creating congestion and safety issues. They detail cars on the street, replace tires, and anything else for that matter. They park customer vehicles along both sides of the street, obstructing traffic flow for residents and emergency vehicles. The facility also does not obtain adequate parking. The limited parking makes it difficult for customers to leave their vehicles on site during service, As a result, this often results in cars overflowing into my driveway and surrounding properties. Although we live at 884 Plainfield Street, our driveway entrance is on Farmington Avenue. The detail owner takes calls on my property. Staff and patrons park in my driveway as an extra space and use my fence as seating and as drying rack for their wet rags. They also dry car mats on the nearby lawns. Their tenants and customers often leave trash and debris spread around about the premises. While we regularly sweep and pick up what we can, the trash inevitably accumulates again within a short period of time. It's impossible to access my driveway due to blocked access at any time of the day. And when politely asking the customers to move their car from my driveway or from blocking my driveway, I am greeted with anger and a bad attitude. Walking from my door to the car is uncomfortable. Both companies and building owner damage the neighborhood. Their boundary-pushing operations detract from residents' quality of life and threaten public welfare. As city officials entrusted with protecting our neighborhood, we must address these zoning and public safety concerns. Furthermore, the corner of Farmington Ave and Plainfield Street is treacherous due to vehicles attempting to maneuver through the blocked traffic lanes. Because the business owners park their cars on both sides, it makes it difficult for cars to drive through and makes more traffic than necessary. I bet if you were to request accident statistics for this area, as Pedro had mentioned, they would be astronomical. This business has changed the fabric of vehicular traffic for the negative. The building owner has failed to properly maintain this building. The owners are rarely, if ever, present to address these ongoing issues. Approving this application enables continued infringement on residents' rights. The building owner's past actions demonstrate a concerning pattern of inconsiderate and uncooperative behavior. Despite assurances made at our last meeting in February that the tenant would be vacate the premises by the end of the month, he's still there, and it's March 13th, and they still remain on the property. This is yet another example of the building owner making commitments to us that are not upheld. Given the ongoing neglect and lack of accountability exhibited by the owner regarding maintenance and management of this facility, we have serious doubts about entrusting him to cooperate with the zoning requirements any more responsibly. Even if he removes the existing tenants, we don't believe he will find a better replacement. The building owner argues that the zoning ordinance was changed without notice, converting what was previously a commercial zone into a residential one. The zoning board likely deliberately altered the zoning due to the longstanding issues in this area. Years ago, similar problems probably arose, and a compromise was reached, but history has repeated itself. If we again bend the rules, we risk the perpetrating past mistakes. The moment we treat the residential zoning decision, the past residential zoning decision, a mistake, we invite further disorder. The building owner has shown no remorse for residents' concerns, remaining absent from community engagement and lying to our faces. It seems unlikely the businesses and landlord will suddenly become considerate and compromise. We must learn from the past and hold to firm to protect the residential character of the neighborhood. The zoning map indicates that our neighborhood is designated as residential, shown in brown. The map illustrates that the brown residential completely surrounds our home. The commercial buildings highlighted in red at the bottom of the map represent warehouses that have little effect on traffic or our daily lives. As such, we have no objections to their continued operation. However, permitting commercial development within our residential community, literally next door, would be detrimental as it would disrupt our health and well-being. As residents of Providence, we implore you to reconsider the zone change to a C3 in our neighborhood. While we understand some commercial activity can blend into a residential area, the proprietors of these shops and building owner have shown no regard for their neighbors or community. Rather than additional auto shops, which are amply represented nearby, we propose the city encourage residential development on this property. Focusing future development on much-needed housing would likely better serve the community. We are pleading for support on this matter. Coming home to the current conditions is demoralizing. I appreciate your consideration and shining a light on a matter that has been going on far too long. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen.
Thank you, Theresa, so much. Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Councilor Royas?
I just want to thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for being informed on this. If the gentleman spoke before you as well, I see your pain in these photos. I feel your pain, and I'm thankful for you both coming here and testifying to give us more insight on what you're going through every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Theresa, can we have this as exhibits? Oh, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, what exhibit would this be? 3A? I'll entertain a motion to enter exhibit 3A into the record. Motion is made and second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Exhibit 3A is now a part of the record. Okay, so we don't have anybody else that signed up to speak on this matter. Okay. So, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Motion is made and second by Councilor Arroyo and second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. So this now concludes and it closes the public hearing on this matter. There are always, difficult decisions that we are charged with. And I don't think I need to go into all of the details that surround such a change. The attorney is asking to go from R3 to C3, which is heavy industrial. And one can only look at the picture and appreciate all the activities that are going on there and everything that is happening. And it hasn't been happening for 1 or 2 months or maybe a year. It's been happening for a very long time. I particularly had an interest in this because of the discussion that we had last time and because of things that I heard. So I actually went over there today and had an opportunity to visit the area. And I can attest to the many things that have been said here tonight. So the City Plan Commission has charged us, the council, for us to, they require us to find that the change, if we were to make this change, will not negatively impact the health, safety, and welfare of the residents. And judging from what's been said here tonight and from the pictures that we're seeing, from what I saw today, I don't think that I can guarantee that to the residents. So therefore, that said, I'll entertain a motion to continue indefinitely.
Mr. Chair, so move.
Motion is made by Councilor Royas, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. This item is now continuing indefinitely. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Madam Chair, being that there's no further item on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.